I'm here with Boyd Kane from, you're from Bishops in Cape Town, yeah?
Yes, Bishops, Cape Town, South Africa.
Cool. And essentially what ICF is, if you've been reading some of the literature, it's a gigantic science fair for kids from all over the world to come out and show off their innovations and their projects, basically at a high school level. And the idea is this is where the real innovation is supposed to be coming from. He's one of 11 teams to be here in South Africa. Sorry, out from South Africa to have come all the way out to LA. And his project is on using underwater trenches to limit the energy of a tsunami. So the first question is, what was your inspiration for using a tsunami as a topic for your project?
Yeah, well, it was really just on my mind, and I wasn't so sure about anything else. But I already had some background research just in my head about tsunamis, so I just picked that as my starting point. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it's a relatively low-fire solution, which I think is really, really cool. Normally you'd find people using a lot of integrated circuits and stuff like that. I think what's really, really cool is this really deals with a lot of the physics involved in how a tsunami is formed and how it is blocked, right?
Yes, it does. It's really simple. So some of the other methods are really complicated, but I think this is very simple, yes.
So inexpensive compared to some of the other methods?
It depends. I haven't done much research into how expensive it would be, but it could definitely be inexpensive compared to other methods.
Okay, cool. So take us through it really, really simply, bearing in mind, of course, our audience understands a fair amount about technology and science, but isn't like super, super tech or super, super scientific. But I'm sure you'll be able to explain it relatively simply, right?
Yes, of course. So basically, my idea was, I've got an underwater trench, and in effect, the tsunami comes along and falls into the trench.
All right.
And so it's a bit like a pebble dropping into water. So if you imagine a pebble drops into water, it lets off ripples, right?
Yes.
And so the tsunami is actually the pebble, and so when it goes over the trench, it falls into the trench, and then lets off a different wave. So the wave that's hitting the shore is not the same wave as the wave that was generated by an earthquake, which caused the tsunami.
So is the trench actually dug under the water, or is it built a little bit in from the shoreline?
Yes, it's to seaward of the shoreline, and it's completely submerged.
Okay, wow, that's really, really interesting. So how have you tested some of this? Is most of it like theoretical right now?
No, I did. So I actually built a 2-meter long wave tank. I'm not so sure what that is in yards. Yes, and then so I built that wave tank, and then using that I did about 1,000 tests, and then from those I collected various data. So I varied the trench length and also the amount of force used to create the wave. Okay,
cool. And effective, yes?
Yes, the best results I got was, so if you imagine 100% being a full tsunami, then I managed to get it down to about 16%.
Wow, that's really, really good.
Yes.
Okay, is it going to be limited in terms of its effectiveness, the size of the tsunami? I mean, tsunamis are really, really big things, right? Like monstrous waves.
Yes.
So is that going to depend on how deep the trench has been dug and that kind of thing?
Yes, well, unfortunately I was only able to test the length, but I am planning to do testing on the other variables, such as the depth, but it depends on it. So everything, it depends. So if you've got a tiny engine, it won't drive a massive car. If you've got a massive engine, it will drive the massive car.
Okay, so you'd obviously need to make the trench deeper in order to stop a big...
ways to figure out how deep or how long it would be, depending on where the nearest earthquakes would be.
Okay, and then the inverse, in terms of if you've dug like a gigantic trench and a smaller tsunami comes along?
Well, then I'm assuming that would be very effective.
So it would be a lot more effective.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Very, very cool. So, yeah, really, really interesting. Nice to see South Africans here represented out of the literally thousands and thousands of projects that are here today.
It's amazing, yeah. It's absolutely
okay, cool. So what has your experience been like so far of, coming out to the States and being in amongst all of these, these amazing people?
Yeah, Team South Africa spent a night in New York, which was absolutely fantastic. And then after that we flew here, and I've absolutely loved every minute. I think I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
Okay, cool. Well, there you have it. Stopping tsunamis, or at least limiting their damage using underwater trenches, a South African innovation. Thanks, Boyd, for your time. Really appreciate it, and best of luck for the competition.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.